The fluorescent lights of Chen Industries' 47th floor cast long shadows across Daniel Martinez's desk as he stared at the half-eaten PB&J sandwich his daughter had packed for him that morning. A crayon-drawn heart decorated the Ziploc bag with the words "Best Daddy Ever" scrawled in purple. His eyes burned with exhaustion, but he couldn't help smiling. Maya was only 7, but she had more emotional intelligence than most adults he knew. She had to grow up fast after her mother left them 18 months ago, disappearing into a new life that apparently didn't include a husband working 2 jobs or a daughter who still slept with a nightlight. "Working late again, Mr. Martinez?" Daniel's head snapped up to find Sophia Chen standing at his cubicle, her tailored black suit probably worth more than his monthly rent. She was holding 2 cups of coffee, steam rising in delicate spirals between them. The CEO of Chen Industries didn't usually make coffee runs, especially not at 9 o'clock on a Friday night when the building was nearly empty. "Just finishing up the Morrison account, Ms. Chen," he said, straightening in his chair and trying to ignore the way his back protested. "I'll have it on your desk by Monday morning." "Sophia," she corrected him for what had to be the 100th time in the 6 months since he'd started working there. "And I wasn't asking about work." She set one of the coffee cups on his desk, her fingers lingering on the ceramic for just a moment longer than necessary. "I was asking about you." Daniel felt heat creep up his neck. Sophia Chen was brilliant, beautiful, and completely out of his league. She had an MBA from Harvard, spoke 4 languages, and had tripled her father's company's revenue in just 3 years. Meanwhile, he was a single dad with an associate's degree, living paycheck to paycheck in a 1-bedroom apartment where his daughter slept in the actual bedroom while he took the couch. "I'm fine," he lied, reaching for the coffee. "Thank you for this. You didn't have to." She perched on the edge of his desk, her expression softening in a way that made his heart do something complicated in his chest. "Daniel, you're always the first one here and the last one to leave. You bring lunch from home, you never take breaks, and I've noticed you limp sometimes when you think no one's watching. What's going on?" The genuine concern in her voice almost broke him. He wanted to tell her everything, about Maya's upcoming field trip he couldn't afford, about the second job he worked on weekends doing data entry, about the medical bills from his daughter's emergency appendectomy last year that still kept him up at night. But you didn't dump your problems on your boss, especially not when that boss was Sophia Chen. "Just tired," he said instead. "Single parent stuff, you know how it is." "Actually, I don't," she said quietly. "But I'd like to understand, if you'd let me." Daniel looked up at her, confused by the intensity in her dark eyes. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Patterson, his elderly neighbor who watched Maya when he worked late. His daughter had a nightmare and was asking for him. "I'm sorry I have to go," he said, already shoving papers into his bag. "Maya needs me." Something flickered across Sophia's face. Disappointment, maybe? But she stood gracefully. Of course, family comes first. As he rushed toward the elevator, he didn't see the way she watched him leave, or the way her hand pressed against her heart like she was trying to hold something in. The pattern continued for weeks. Sophia would find excuses to stop by his desk, to discuss projects, to ask his opinion on presentations, to bring him coffee when he worked late. She remembered that he took it black with 1 sugar. She noticed when he looked particularly exhausted and would subtly rearrange his workload. When Maya got sick with the flu, Sophia personally approved his emergency leave request and had HR ensure he still got paid. "She likes you, Dad," Maya announced one Saturday morning, looking up from the pancakes Daniel was making. She had Sophia's business card in her hand, the one his boss had given him with her personal number in case of emergencies. "She's just being nice, Mia," Daniel said, flipping a pancake shaped vaguely like a dinosaur. "That's what good bosses do." Maya rolled her eyes with the exasperation only a 7-year-old could muster. "Dad, when I like someone, I share my cookies with them at lunch. Miss Chen gives you coffee and does that thing where she touches your shoulder and smiles all soft. That's grown-up cookie sharing." "Eat your pancakes," Daniel said, his ears burning. But even if Maya was right, which she wasn't because that was impossible, what could he possibly offer someone like Sophia Chen? She attended charity galas and sat on corporate boards. He clipped coupons and shopped at thrift stores. They existed in different universes that occasionally overlapped in the fluorescent-lit reality of an office building. The breaking point came on a Tuesday that started like any other but ended with Daniel's world tilting on its axis. Mrs. Patterson called during his lunch break. She'd fallen and broken her hip. The ambulance was on the way, but Maya was scared and didn't know what to do. Daniel's heart stopped. His backup sitter was out of town, and he had a crucial presentation in an hour, the Morrison account he'd been working on for months. He was throwing his things into his bag when Sophia appeared, as if summoned by his panic. "What's wrong? I have to leave. Family emergency. I know the presentation is in an hour, and I know Morrison is our biggest potential client, but—" "Go," she said immediately. "I'll handle the presentation. But you don't know the account like I do. Then email me your notes from the car. Go get your daughter, Daniel. That's what matters." He should have just thanked her and left, but something in her eyes made him pause. "Why are you always so good to me?" She laughed, but it sounded almost sad. "Because you're a good person who's doing his best in impossible circumstances. Because you deserve kindness. Because—" She stopped herself, shaking her head. "Just go. We'll talk later." Daniel made it to Mrs. Patterson's apartment in record time, finding Maya sitting on the front steps, tears streaming down her face. He held her tight, promising everything would be okay, making arrangements for Mrs. Patterson's care, calling his sister 3 states away to talk through options. By the time he got Maya settled at home with his sister, who had miraculously been able to drive up that evening, it was nearly 8 p.m. He'd missed 17 calls from the office. His job was probably gone. The presentation had probably been a disaster. He'd failed again, just like he always seemed to do lately. His phone rang. "Sophia, I'm so sorry," he started immediately. "I know I left you in an impossible position." "The presentation went perfectly," she interrupted. Morrison signed. "Daniel, your work was brilliant. I barely had to do anything except present what you'd already put together." The relief made him dizzy. "Thank you. Thank you so much for covering for me. I'm outside your apartment." "What? I'm outside your apartment," she repeated. "Building 7, Unit 2C, right? I have your address from HR. Can you please come down? I need to talk to you." Daniel's mind raced as he took the elevator down, his heart pounding for reasons that had nothing to do with exertion. Sophia was leaning against a sleek black car, still in her work clothes, looking completely out of place in his rundown apartment complex. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "No," she said, pushing off the car. "No, everything is not okay, Daniel. I've been dropping hints for months. I bring you coffee every day, not just coffee, but coffee exactly how you like it. I find excuses to talk to you. I rearranged the entire fourth-quarter budget to give you a raise without making it obvious. I asked you about your life, your daughter, your dreams. I stayed late on Friday nights just to see you. And you just keep calling me Miss Chen and acting like I'm just being professional." Daniel stared at her, his brain short-circuiting. What? I like you, you beautiful idiot," she practically shouted, then caught herself, lowering her voice. "No, that's not right. I don't just like you. I love you. I love how you pack your daughter's lunch with little notes. I love how you never complain even though you're clearly exhausted. I love how you're kind to everyone, from the janitors to the executives. I love your terrible dad jokes, and the way you get this little crease between your eyebrows when you concentrate. I love that you put your daughter first, always, without hesitation. I love you, and I have been trying to tell you for months, but you're too noble or too oblivious to see it." The world seemed to stop spinning. Sophia Chen, brilliant, beautiful, impossibly perfect Sophia Chen, was standing in his apartment complex parking lot, telling him she loved him. "I'm not noble," he finally managed. "I'm just—" "Sophia, look at me. Look at where I live. I have nothing to offer you except baggage and debt, and a 7-year-old who needs braces we can't afford yet." She stepped closer, her eyes fierce. "You have everything to offer. You have integrity and kindness and a capacity for love that most people will never understand. Do you know what my world is like? It's full of people who want something from me, my money, my connections, my name. But you never ask me for anything. You work harder than anyone in that building, and you never expect special treatment. You're real, Daniel. You're the most genuine person I've ever met. I thought you were just being nice, he whispered. You're my boss. You're a billionaire. You're the man I'm in love with, she said firmly, if you'll have me. And Maya too, obviously. That kid is amazing, and anyone who can raise someone that smart and kind and funny while working 2 jobs and dealing with everything you've dealt with is someone I want in my life. Forever, if you'll let me. Daniel felt something crack open in his chest, something that had been locked tight since his ex-wife left, since he decided that his job was just to survive and give Maya a good life, not to hope for anything for himself. I love you too, he said, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess them. God help me. I've loved you since you stayed late to help me figure out the Stevenson account in my 2nd week. I just never thought... She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise, and Daniel felt like maybe, just maybe, the universe was finally on his side. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Sophia was smiling wider than he'd ever seen. So, we're doing this? If you're sure, he said, because Maya and I are a package deal, and we're messy and complicated, and I've never been more sure of anything, Sophia said. Although, fair warning, I have no idea how to be a stepmom. I'm probably going to mess it up. Maya already calls you the cookie lady, Daniel admitted. She's been Team Sophia since the beginning, apparently. They both laughed, the sound echoing in the quiet night, full of relief and joy and the promise of new beginnings. 3 years later, Daniel would stand in that same parking lot, watching Maya, now 10, and already showing signs of becoming as brilliant as her stepmom, teaching Sophia's father how to make friendship bracelets. His wife, would be beside him, her hand in his, her wedding ring catching the afternoon light. Still think you had nothing to offer? She'd tease, and he'd kiss her temple and admit that maybe, just maybe, he'd been wrong about that. But on this night, in the beginning of everything, they simply stood together under the parking lot lights, 2 people brave enough to believe in second chances and the transformative power of love.